Hello, welcome to the FanDuel Punch Out on Thursday. I'm Big Italy 42 here with Christopher Ruckus at Space Jam 23 DFS. I'm dealing with a bit of a bout of the flu here, so bear with me here. I'm powering through it today, but we're gonna give you a breakdown of all the games here on FanDuel today. You ready to get things going?
Yeah, let's do this.
All right, we got 2 early games and 4 late games. The 2 early games, if you want to play an all-day slate, if you're brave. And that's not what I'll be doing. If you want to play some GPPs, maybe in the 2-game early slate, go for it. But for me, I'm probably going to be focusing mostly on the night slate. But we'll give you the rundown of the entire game either way. All right, first off is Kansas City at Minnesota. And we've got this one as Kansas City with the -128 favorite, 7.5 run total. Jason Vargas against Tommy Malone. And I'm not going out of my way to target either of these pitchers. Malone had a great first start, but the Royals don't strike out much. They were the least amount of strikeouts among teams last year, and they're also lefty matchers. They got some guys in that batting order that hit lefties really well. So, are you targeting either of these pitchers? I mean, you're going to have to if you play an early only slate, but
Yeah, so here's the fun the stat of the morning. So right now, Vargas opened up as a -115 favorite with an 8.5 over under. He is now a -128 favorite, touching that 7.5 over under, and it looks like the money is going on 85% Kansas City Royals money line just right now. So Vegas thinks that Kansas City is obviously going to win this game, but they also have dropped the run line, increased the money line. If I'm taking an early pitcher, I'm all over Vargas today. I mean, I think Vargas can show up, do some things, and I know it's only a 2-game slate, and he's probably my top owned pitcher on the short slate.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to have to choose somebody, so I don't think that that's a bad option there, especially with the decent sized favorite and the total trending down. As far as hitters in this game, Sal Perez is a guy that I like to target in a situation like this one, but he's been batting really low in the order. But then again, on a 2-game slate, you're going to need to play some guys that aren't in orders where you'd like them to be. Lorenzo Cain, not a guy that has a ton of power, but did great against left-handed pitching last year. 362 WOBA. So absolutely like that. Where Tommy Malone struggled also with righties last season. So I think that he's also in play. Anybody else from this game that you really like?
Yeah, Mr. Escobar. I'm a big fan of him. The guy, he's super fast, bats leadoff, he gets on base, scores runs just because Kansas City gets on, hits the ball so well. He's always one in play for me at shortstop just because his upside is pretty significant, and I don't think that's realized yet.
Yeah, absolutely. And on the other side of things, FanDuel specific, of course, this is a FanDuel podcast. Kenneth Vargas is at just $2,500, and he doesn't have great numbers against lefties, but like I said, you're going to need some value somewhere. You're going to need to pick some spots, and should have a nice batting spot right in the heart of that order. So I like him also. All right, moving on to the next game here. Also in the early slate, it's going to be Milwaukee at St. Louis. And St. Louis is a -140 favorite, 7.5 point total. Mike Fiers against John Lackey. And Fiers, as we know, a guy that strike out guys in bunches, but also give up home runs in bunches. His fly ball to ground ball rate is really concerning, 46.9% fly ball rate last season. We know that the Cardinals have some power. They weren't great against righties last year, but they've got some power up and down their lineup. So on the early slate, if you really want the strikeout upside, it's got to be Mike Fiers.
Yeah, no, 100% agree with you on that. Mike Fiers, Jason Vargas, I think will be under, those 2 pitchers will be lower owned, and I think they have the biggest upside.
Yeah, absolutely. And Lackey seems like the safer bet. Obviously, Milwaukee off to a terrible start offensively this year. Lackey a sizable favorite at -140. Lackey not great against righties or lefties last year. 316 against lefties, 327 WOBA against righties. So for Milwaukee, you want a contrarian stack. I guess can't be that contrarian on a 2-game slate, but I think that Milwaukee's certainly in play because the Reds roughed up Lackey a little bit last time out, and Milwaukee has the bats to do it if they can get it going. All right, on the St. Louis side, get your obvious plays like your Matt Carpenter. He's sitting at $4,100. He's getting pricey, but he's a guy that can kind of do it all. He's hot recently. He's had some big hits recently, and elsewhere in this game, you've got Johnny Peralta was really cheap there for a while. $3,100 is still not a bad price on a 2-game slate, so I don't mind him in this spot. But outside of that, I mean, like I said, this early slate, you're pretty much going to have to nail every single pick. And I'm going to be targeting guys with power and with strikeout upside on the pitcher's end, because that's about the only way to go on a 2-game slate.
Yeah, I completely agree.
All right, moving on to the night slate. Philadelphia at Washington. A couple good pitchers on the mound here. Cole Hamels struggled in his first start, had a nice game last time out against the Nationals. He's a lefty, and we know that some of these Washington bats can hit lefties pretty well. And I don't know about Cole Hamels tonight. He's a boomer bust type of guy. Washington finally starting to swing some hot bats recently, so I might be going with a little Washington stack here. Obviously, some top pitchers on the board. Those are the guys you want to target. But on a 4-game slate, you're going to need some contrarian stacks. So I don't mind Washington as a nice stack against Hamels here.
No, I don't mind it either. And also, just talking about pitchers, he's 9,900. When you're looking at the other pitchers tonight, you've got in the same game Fister, 9K, Archer, 8,600. He's pricey. He might be the priciest option of the night. So, and of the day, that is. So, I'm with you on that. I don't mind a Cole Hamels fade at all tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you're going to want to have to pick your spots, obviously. But like I said, if you want to be contrarian, targeting some of these big pitchers, Cole Hamels, like you mentioned, the second most expensive, but definitely up there, almost 10K. Not a guy I'm going out of my way to pay 10K for today. I don't mind Doug Fister on the opposite side of this one. Obviously, the Philly lineup not nearly as potent as the Washington lineup here, so. And especially with Ryan Howard sat out last game, you assume he'll probably be back. But, I mean, it's just not a very good lineup top to bottom. You got Chase Utley, and that's pretty much it here.
Yeah, no, exactly. Chase Utley, that's it. On the other side, Ian Desmond had a nice game yesterday, as did Wilson Ramos. So I'm on both of those guys. Desmond, 3,800 is a little bit pricey. So I don't love his price. But like you said, he's got power at a position that doesn't really show power today. So I do like him with that.
Yeah, and Fister, I mean, really pedestrian strikeout rate, 14.8%. But a great thing about him is he doesn't walk batters, just 3.6% walk rate last year. So he's not going to beat himself generally, and he's fairly solid against both hands of pitcher or both hands of hitters. 273 WOBA allowed to righties, so definitely like that. Tampa Bay and Toronto is our next game. Another game at the Rogers Center. We saw 19 runs in a game there last night. Looks like this one flipped. Chris Archer was originally the favorite. Now Aaron Sanchez, a slight favorite at -110, and an 8-run total here. So if I'm looking at one of these two guys, it's still going to be Chris Archer in a tough matchup. I mean, Archer's numbers were solid last year, 21% strikeout rate. He walks more batters than you like at 8%, but he's got a 46.5% ground ball rate, which is one of the higher on the day, surprisingly. And just a 283 WOBA allowed to lefties, 307 to righties. So I think he's about the epitome of a cash game play for me here tonight if you're not paying up.
Yeah, no, Archer definitely is a cash game play. And probably my most interesting play of the day is the other pitcher, Mr. Aaron Sanchez. Got burned by him opening day. I saw, he has some talent. The kid definitely has talent. So he's probably going to be on my GPP lineups tonight just because he is a favorite. Going against Tampa Bay, I'm not super scared of that. So don't mind Aaron Sanchez as a GPP play tonight.
Yeah, and I mean, he had pretty solid numbers in just 33 innings last year, 22% strikeout rate. His ground ball rate of 65.9, obviously unsustainable, but I mean, he had some success in a small dose last year, so I think he's a sneaky play here tonight as well. All right, next up, if you want to talk about batters in this game, you're obviously going to need to because there's only 8 teams playing tonight. If Kevin Kiermaier at $3,000 is up near the top of the order, you know that I'll be having some shares of him. I don't mind his Asdrubal Cabrera at just $3,000. He's a solid price as well. Elsewhere, Gianna Navarro, if he's batting on the 5-hole again, just $2,600. He makes for a great value play tonight on this slate.
Yeah, I love Navarro, and also, I mean, how can't you like Bautista? Probably the biggest home run upside of the night. I think cash game is probably going to be locked in if you can fit him with price and everything.
Yeah, absolutely. Moving on to the next game, it's Miami at the New York Mets. And we've got the Mets here as a small favorite, -114 with Dylan G, who got crushed in his first game. I used him as an SP2 in some spots, which was a big mistake. He got rocked. Pitches better at home throughout his career, but I I don't mind Jared Cozart here. I mean, he had solid numbers. He's a ground ball pitcher, 54.2% ground ball rate last year, right about average against WOBA against lefties and righties. He does walk 9.5%, which you don't like. But at the same time, I mean, you got a 7-run total here. He's facing off against the Mets lineup that's really not that tough. So I don't mind Cozart at all. And he was a guy that you were talking to me about before the show also.
Yeah, no, don't mind Cozart at all. Especially, he's cheap. He lets you get the big bats. So, I actually kind of like Cozart tonight, and I think I will be using a good share of him, especially with the Miami stack, which you're going to be getting to, which is going to be my top stack of the night.
Yeah, and I don't blame you there. I mean, you got D. Gordon with the run and stolen base upside, Stanton with the massive power. Mike Morse finally hit a home run the other day, so he's getting it going. I mean, you've got a lot of guys in some decent spots there against Dylan G tonight, which, I mean, it's not hard to stack every game, just in case, but I don't mind that Miami stack. It's one of my favorites as well. Moving on to Arizona at San Francisco here. We've got San Francisco as the biggest favorite on the day with Madison Bumgarner at 164. 6.5 run total here. So Bumgarner at $10,500, expensive, especially coming off of really bad first start where he got crushed. But at the same time, Bumgarner at home. Granted, that was in a pitcher's park, but Bumgarner at home, pretty solid. He's got a 25.1% strikeout rate from last year, and I don't mind paying for Madison Bumgarner if you're paying for cash. I mean, I much prefer him to Cole Hamels tonight.
Yeah, you're paying up. You're paying for Madison Bumgarner. I prefer him over Cole Hamels because on the short slate, you're gonna need some strikeouts. You're gonna need it. A win isn't gonna be enough. You're gonna need some strikeouts, and he can give you that upside. On the other side of it, it's funny we're saying this, but Archie Bradley was great in his first career start. I like him tonight. San Francisco's hit or miss. If you look at their lineup, it's not scary, not overwhelming. I like Archie Bradley tonight as well.
Yeah, and he should be the lowest owned pitcher on the board as well. I would anticipate being the biggest underdog, but at 7,400, a little bit pricey. But at the same time, paying up sometimes is a good way to be contrarian on a short slate. So I don't mind paying a little bit for him there in that spot. All right. As far as hitters go in this one, obviously Paul Goldschmidt against the lefty, always in play. Mashes lefties. On the San Francisco side, we've got, the obvious options. You've got Buster Posey. You've got Brandon Belt. I mean, I'm not going out of my way to stack this game either, being in a pitcher's park. But if you got a couple options, are those the guys you're looking at, or you got other options?
Yeah, no, we're going to look at those guys, Belt, Posey, Pagan. Those are your big three coming from there. If you're going to look at Arizona, I mean, Mr. Goldschmidt himself. I mean, he's an animal. Big game last night, so liking him too.
All right. Well, with that, that's going to wrap things up. Thanks for bearing with my my sickness here. That's going to be all for us here. Check out our content at dailyfantasycafe.com, and we'll see you guys next time.